Cool, but all right. But I suggest that we start. But welcome everyone to the webinar today. Today we are going to talk with quite a few experts in the field, and the main topic for today will be around the guest journey strategy and how to optimize effort and maximize revenue. So that's kind of a very important topic nowadays, and very trendy as well, because that's something which has been a hot topic for a while. So very interesting to be here today. And joining with me today, I have quite a panel of experts with me. So the first one will be Florian. So I'm going to introduce them to just quickly right now, and then they will share a bit more about themselves later on when I ask them the question. But Florian Montag, who is a VP of Business Development for Apaleo. As you know, Apaleo, one of the biggest PMS in Europe, worldwide, I may say, of course. Anna Ranbo as well, Partner and Director of Global Sales at BookBoost. So thank you, BookBoost, for hosting as well this webinar. Albert Paulo Aibar, the GM at Oz Lifestyle Hospitality. Tell me if I said correctly. House.
Correct.
All right, excellent. So thank you for being here. And last but not the least, of course, the star that we all know, Christian Müller, Group Manager Technology at Shani Hotels. So I'm very happy to have you all here. And me, myself, I'm Thibaut Catala. I'm French, so that's something I repeat always, but if you have an issue with my accent, don't hesitate to say on the chat, Thibaut, can you repeat? We didn't understand what you say. I'm used to it. I won't take it wrong, maybe a bit. No, I'm kidding. But I can repeat anytime with my accent. That's not an issue. All right. But thank you so much for everyone to be here today. So I'm going to dig into it right now. And I'm going to ask a question to everyone. So who wants to join and answer, you be free, be my guest. So why do you think the guest journeys have become so much important nowadays? Why do you think it's kind of one of the biggest pillar in the hospitality industry? Anyone? I'm opening the floor.
Okay, I can go first.
Go ahead.
I think it's important because it gives you the chance to stand out. Just imagine two hotels and one of them completely disappears after a booking has been made. The other one provides you with valuable information pre-stay and also maybe checks in with you after the first night to see how everything is. Which one do you think you will remember? By having a guest journey in place, you will foster guest satisfaction, loyalty, drive revenue growth, and also maintain a competitive edge in the market.
Okay, excellent. Anyone else wants to pitch in?
It's going to be difficult to beat Anna's speech. Kind of involve everything that is to be said. But yeah, I think I'm 100% agree with the fact of differentiation. That's one of the things that we strive for nowadays. And it allows us to create something unique to our guests, unique to our property, unique to our location, and follow the guest from the moment they show some interest in the property all the way down to the moment they leave. And of course, feedback creating, as she also mentioned, loyalty and positive feedback, recurring clients, and boosting revenue.
Okay, that's a good point. I mean, on my side as well, the guest journey, I believe it's critical to keep in mind for everything. Sometimes we forget that we are serving guests. Actually, sometimes we create a tech stack because we believe it's the best tech stack out there, and we need to do this, or we create the best strategy because we believe that's the right strategy. But we forget that actually we are selling to guests. So by first understanding the guest journey, should be, in my opinion, at the heart of everything that you do afterwards. But start here and then build everything else after this. So for me, the guest journey, as you mentioned, it's critical for everything else. Excellent. And as well on the participants, don't hesitate to ask questions on the chat. We will be answering some time to time, or even if you have some thing that you want to share with us, or if you have some opinion as well, feel free to share with us. All right. So Albert, we'll continue with you. So in your experience, what do you think are the main challenges for hotelier when building this critical guest journey?
Well, as has been stated before, I think it's clear that we have to offer something different now, and that goes beyond just temporary accommodation for our guests. So a very well-created strategy on the guest journey should be very well put together and thought about. One of the first challenges that I think we all face is understanding our clients, who our guests are, and not only that in broadly speaking, but also being able to funnel that segment them further in a way that we understand what their needs are, but coming from different backgrounds, having different preferences, and that will also result in different expectations that they might have. So we have to curate all that journey, not just for that particular group, but also segment it and then try to list down all the touch points and interactions that the guest has between the very beginning when shows interest until the end of the journey. And that also has to be done taking into account where you are located, what your facilities are, etc., etc. The same guest journey that you might have in one hotel might not work in the other, even though that might, broadly speaking, the clients or the guests that you are receiving are the same. It's going to be different in different locations, given the fact that they might have different expectations from Barcelona, Lisbon, and Marrakesh. And also your facilities might provide very different curated journeys for them. For me, this is the first challenge that everybody faces, in understanding, having a deeper understanding of the client and the location and the possibilities that you have. And once you have that understanding, how you can add value to all that proposition.
And that's an interesting point, what you mentioned. And one of the challenges I also face, it's actually to create this guest journey. So do you have any practical recommendation for anyone listening on how to create this guest journey? What is the best practice on how to create a guest journey from scratch?
What we always do is we have some sort of a core thing that works more or less in all the properties, and then spikes out different things to all the different properties. And for us, the best way to create it is bring in the local people and brainstorm with them, our employees and everybody. We brainstorm all around what the possibilities are, what the challenges are. A great example was in Morocco, for instance, where you have a very poor infrastructure, and people was coming to the airport and they are left on their own devices, no taxis, no nothing, and a very difficult environment in a place where you don't have internet, for instance. So everything has to be understood, and this all comes in with local knowledge, and brainstorming with them is, for me, the best way to actually create this guest journey to the best of its potential.
100%, yeah.
Another thing that I have seen a lot is using tech that is very much needed, but then forgetting a lot on the physical touch point. Simple basket when local products, when the guest arrive, marks a difference sometimes. How people interact physically with each other at the reception, etc., etc. So this is also that sometimes I perceive as forget having a very well curated communication online, and the moment that you arrive, there is a lack on that warmth that you perceive at the beginning.
Okay. May I would add something here? Because if we are talking about guest journey, we need to start from scratch and rethink the usually confirmation letter, as it's not only a confirmation, it's the start of the guest journey and everything what's between you as a hotelier and your guest. And typically, it was only delivered with, here's your confirmation with some basic data, and this is your confirmation number, as an example. And if then a guest replied to this confirmation, hopefully it comes not from a do not reply email address or something like that, or end in a spam folder, nobody answered the guest back. So hoteliers need to understand that a typical guest journey is mostly a communication with the guest from the beginning onwards. And today, most of the guests start, or I get the feeling that most of the guests start to reply directly to the confirmation letter in whatever way you correspond with them. And a lot of hotels doesn't take that option to interact with the guest and only deliver such pre-filled information or phrases or share some basic links or something like that, and doesn't get the option to rephrase what the guest asked, take that information and deliver a perfectly fit individual guest journey for that specific one. And
I think that's good.
yeah, just rethink that's typical confirmation. And Alberto, you're completely right. You need to adapt this for property and property, because it's not always the possibility that internet access is always available in that area from the hotel. However, if you just rethink that beginning of the journey, from the delivery of a message to the beginning of an interaction, then it could be a completely other way. And then you can change your outstanding of your property like an updates already.
I think that's super
100%, I
relevant.
agree.
Yeah, yeah. You
I think
mentioned about
Christian,
hyper
go ahead.
personalization. No, I think you're right. First of all, like starting from even before you see the guests, because even the way you post on social, the way you communicate with them, the way you communicate with the outside world, that's already the start of the guest journey, even before they think about traveling to your hotel. And then that's first one, and then hyper personalization. I think that we're going to get there in a few seconds, but that's totally relevant. So to continue on this with you, Anna, around the best practices on how to map the guest journey. Can you tell us how hotelier can utilize guest data to understand what guests truly need, and actually for us to map the full guest journey? Do you have any best practices here?
Yeah, absolutely. I recommend all hoteliers to look at their guest data as the gold mine of information. And the power of it sits in the accessibility of using it intelligently. So before you create a guest journey, you need to collect information about your guest. And a common source could be feedback or reviews, but you can go beyond that. For example, if you look into your guest data to see from an upselling perspective, a campaign, if it works, the good one or the worst ones. Based on that, you know what to offer or what you should not offer. Or on the other hand, maybe you can see that there is a better click-through rate or open rate for the campaigns you send via WhatsApp rather than SMS and email. Then you can consider to go more into that channel. So it really is about getting the data right, to analyze it, to start map the different touch points in the guest journey. And of course, it's way and much easier if everything is stored in the same place, like your CRM, because then you don't have to switch from one source to the other. And by having a meaningful guest journey in place, you will not only create guest satisfaction, but also optimize efforts and maximize revenue, which is the topic for the webinar today.
That's a great coincidence. Well done. What about you, Christian? For actually going back we continue to see on this mapping of guest journey. For hotels that don't have a guest journey and want to create one, for you, what are the top 3 things they need to do? Like just 3, not 4 or 5, just 3.
Send a confirmation. No, send the beginning of the conversation with the guest. However, rethink your confirmation and don't let it be on the OTA side to send a confirmation. Just authentic your one from your hotel to get or to starting the conversation. Send a pre-arrival messaging, however way you would be to get in touch with all the guests if they not interact in the first place with you. Start the conversation, just leave an open question with the guests. So the second point, and wait for their feedback, work with their feedback and act in regards of their feedback. If they send you only the information that they will arrive with a little one and the dog, whatever, be prepared already and not when they're standing in front of you at the reception. And the third one for the guest journey, if we keep it on the digital side of that landscape, I would say send them a post-stay emailing, however that looks like. May not only the invoice, may and thank you for your visit. It was great to having you here, and don't leave it or leave it a little bit open. Send them small links, but then you have 3 major parts of a digital journey, not the physical one. If I can add 5 more points, we can go ahead through sale.
No, I like it, and what you mentioned is very true. In a way, to being very authentic and very like grateful to have them, but the authenticity I think is key. Don't have a text just to have a text generated by ChatGPT. That doesn't make any sense. People feel that it's actually not genuine, so make it as genuine as possible, as authentic as possible, and you will connect as well with the guest. Yeah, that's spot on. Thank you for sharing this. And what about you, Florian? When creating a guest journey, for me on the tech perspective, what do you think are the main risks that hotelier may face when implementing the guest journey from a tech perspective?
Yeah, I mean, that's always a big question, right? Because of course, a lot of hoteliers are giving away touch points, which they thought were typically the physical experience, and now they become more digital. So the biggest risk, Albert mentioned it at the beginning, and also you, Thibaut, is you need to build a guest journey which fits to your guests. So that's the first point. Let's say if you mapped a right guest journey, I would say there's 3 then big risk areas which you should take into consideration. The first one is the systems you're implementing. Do you understand your system landscape? Which system covers what? How do they integrate with one another? How deep are they integrated with one another? So really understanding and mapping maybe the guest journey out from the guest process, but then also going the level below and saying, okay, what systems are involved in this journey? Is it a PMS with a CRM? Is it a different guest journey app? How does payment interlink to this? Where does the email come from? All of these kind of things should be defined and mapped out and also understood, because that's a big risk. You can overcomplicate it, but you can also keep your old systems which are not made for integrations, which at the end of the day will hinder any kind of automation in that level from day one. The second big topic is understanding, when we map out our guest journey, is also looking at what are my edge cases. Christian mentioned already OTAs, there might be corporates, there might be others. So is every guest journey the same for everybody, or do I have different cases, and how do I cover these edge cases with my current systems, and how do I monitor that, as well as what's my fallback option in case there's certain processes in place or certain things which are not covered by my core processes. So this is the second big topic, is understanding that. And then the third one, which I find, I mean, of course, here in this webinar, we are all very tech driven. But the big risk is as well, you offer more digital touch points, so more touch points with your guests. And often guests forget to, or hotels forget to monitor them and make sure that they are always up to date and always working correctly. So always, the more digital touch points you offer for your guests, the more you also need to have resources in-house or in your teams who also monitor and control and making sure that your guest journey is always at par of the levels which you would want to offer with your personal service when the guest arrives in-house. And of course, you have nowadays so much new, better systems which allow you so much more automation and management around that. But these would be the big 3 areas I would highlight today.
Okay, no, that's and that's more like that's also for my self knowledge. But for you, any kind of a best case study you have seen around a company which have leveraged tech to create the best guest journey, being digital or non-digital? For you, what is your best thing that you have seen ever? Using a paleo, of course, I understand.
I mean, that's the base, right? No, but it is difficult to say, because of course, the ones where I say I really love their guest journey, definitely Shani is one of them, but also Numa would be amazing in that kind of trend. But it's also because they went first to look at their processes, reduced most of their processes to a very specific standard, and have then very simplified, and were then able to automate most of it. So these are the ones which you typically think about as, oh, these are the best digital guest journey options. However, often it's not the ones which have the easiest process where it's the most challenging, but it's the ones which offer B2C guests, or they have B2C leisure guests, have business guests, have OTA guests, and who are able to actually segment and offer different kind of journeys for each kind of customer. So it's the ones which you don't think about in the first process. They're fully digital, but often it's these ones which are definitely the more complex ones to get the secret sauce out of it.
Okay. Anyone else want to share any based case studies I've seen? I mean, with Shiny Hotels, I guess you have a best one. So what are your secret sauce here?
Secrets. Let me
Yeah.
take a look at my pocket. No, secrets. There are a lot of secrets. Gosh. Yeah, one of the things I already mentioned is starting the communication with every guest, not only with the one that are booking at your website. Second one is be prepared of an individual journey and create a digital journey if there's the option to, if I may say it like that. Fetch most of the data a typical guest gives you only at a reception, or a typical hotel at a reception by the check-in, like data for the registration card, pre-arrival. As we all know, and guests mostly think about their travel at the booking. So at the day they are book their stay at a hotel, they think about my future travel to Stockholm, to London, to whatever place in the world. And that means they are get prepared if they book the stay to maybe directly pre-fill the registration card. And the next time when a typical guest think about their travel is 1 or 2 days prior to the journey, as then they pack their packages or their luggage and can think about, oh, did they have a hair dryer? Did they have shampoo? Or did I need to bring something with me? So the second good point to get into interaction with the guest. So use these 2 spots that you have and interact with your guest. Ask them questions, get prepared to deliver answers, be authentic. Like we mentioned, be authentic. We at Shani just get the option to also talk via typical messages with our guests, since in year we do it. And I'm always happy to monitor some of the WhatsApp responses from the guests, as they write in another way with us. They write with smileys. They are writing more open, more kindly, like a typical email, and are also really open to communicate only with small sentences. And if a guest sends you a heart or a flower or whatever, why not responding in the same way with the guest? So why not?
reverse is true as well. I agree that the messaging on WhatsApp kind of removes the barrier, and people kind of relax and just share with you much more. I agree.
Yeah.
So it can be quite positive, but as well the complaint can much more negative because there's no barrier. But it's good because it's all about sharing, and normally they share during the stay. So which is good for service recovery. So I agree, it's a different way of messaging. So that's a good one. And for me as well on a base case study, one I've seen has been with Airbnb. That's a case study that we study quite a lot in hotel school. But if you look at if you write on Google Airbnb guest journey, you will see how they have built the guest journey, and I think they have fragmented all the touch points into 65 or 100 more different touch points. With different persona, different things, and so on. So for me, that's one of the base case study on how to craft this kind of guest journey. And the same if you look at Uber or those kind of stuff, it's very smooth, it's very well done. So that's kind of the aspiration I believe we should have when it comes to hotel stay. That's not normal that a Uber has more information than any kind of a check-in, and they said, okay, can I have your passport and everything? No, actually Uber knows more than about myself than you guys at check-in, and that's not normal. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of aspiration we should go into.
May I can add one more thing that it comes to my mind if you mentioned Uber. I don't know if it's working the same process in Uber, but most of the hotels are sending you the confirmation letter in the language of the hotel itself. So if you book a trip to a German hotel, you get a German confirmation letter, or to a Spanish one, you get a Spanish confirmation letter. But mostly it's so easy. You can read out the prefix from the phone number from the guest and pretending that this could be a good indicator of their language. Sometimes you're wrong, but mostly you're right. And so you can send a German confirmation to a guest with the German prefix, and the Spanish one with the Spanish prefix, right?
Yeah. I think the language is yeah, you're right. Now you have systems that can help you with this, but now they do like probability. If you know that 80% of your market is German, then yes, you do in German, and then you have 20% that you're going to piss off, but the 80% would be happy with this.
Yeah.
But I agree. The more personalization, the better. Like I don't want to be called miss when I receive an email, or like yeah, that's kind of a hyper personalization into language and as well tone of voice. That's actually quite cool. That's the next step. Guest journey touch point, I believe. Right.
Yeah.
And what about you, Albert? When it comes to implementing this guest journey, how do you bring your staff on board for the implementation of the guest journey? What are the main challenges as well in this aspect? What do you think of this?
Well, this has been touched a little bit at the beginning, but I'd say that everything starts with making sure that we work as a team, that everybody understands the ADA of the company, DNA of the company, and we have common goals. Once that is put all together, then, as I mentioned before, we try to bring everybody, or this process of creating the guest journey and brainstorming together about how it should be and what are the challenges that we are going to encounter in the way, and try to find the best solutions. If we have our team understanding the journey, they are well or better equipped to satisfy those needs of the clients. And in terms of understanding the DNA of the company, I mean things like what we're going to work with, or this process, let's say it's excursions or whatever, what taxi services we are going to work with, what transfer company we are going to have. Understanding that we try to work with the best for our clients instead of always giving the best commission, and all sorts of things. Once you have all that clear and put all together, we bring them all in the whole process. So involve them. I think it's the best way to keep them into the loop. They know exactly what it is going to be, this guest journey, why some decisions are taken along the way, and what the expectations are.
I agree. And something as well I faced when implementing some new tech stack on existing teams is that the first thing I said, like, okay, am I going to be replaced by those systems? And actually involving them from the beginning helps on the implementation and on the transition, saying like, look how it is. Actually, it's not going to replace you, it's going to help you do more. But involving the team from day one, I think it's super duper relevant. There will be anyways, I didn't see any, maybe guys, you can share some good practices or positive experience that you had. But for me, I didn't see any implementation or change of tech stack with only a bit of resistance from the team. So that's part of the journey of changing the tech stack. But the more you involve them from the get-go, the more smooth it will be and the better it will be. So that's very, very important to involve the team from the beginning.
Yeah, and if I may just jump in there, I think it's also something about creating a USP for a lot of employees as well, where it's, of course, I understand that there's a resistance of change. There's a certain process where things have been done in a certain way. However, going into this phase of being able to understand how a digital transformation process happens, being part of it, getting involved, you're on the front line, you understand your guests much better than maybe somewhere in the management, and bringing these insights there, and also then taking on responsibility throughout the process helps you to skill up as well in a certain way and create this magic sauce of phygital experience, because at the end of the day, we want a digital and a physical experience matched together. So I see it also as a huge opportunity at the moment in this transformation process. Also for staff to skill up.
I agree. Yeah.
And for sure, the staff needs to try the guest journey as well. Most of the properties doesn't let the staff try the guest journey. They only talk about which journey they deliver, and the staff knows the touch points with the guest. But take it in the mirror and let them try the whole journey. Let them do a stay in your property, or in one property in your group, that they get the experience, that they know which kinds of hustle a guest has, and really get in touch with them. So they need to feel it when I can say it like that.
I think that's one
We couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the best practices ever in any business you run. You need to put yourself in the shoes of your guests, in the shoes of your customers, and sometimes you realize like, okay, why did I receive this confirmation with a big gap into the or a big typo or a big design mistake? I didn't see it. But those kind of things you can identify if you put yourself in the shoes of your customer, and you will identify the friction and so on. So yeah, that's super relevant. Thank you. And I see the chat is very quiet, but if you are still with us here, thank you so much for staying with us. But if you have any question, really don't hesitate to jump in and ask on the chat. We will be replying directly in live here. Okay. Cool. And what about you, Anna? So guest journey has to do a lot with communication and inevitably also with data. We mentioned about data a lot. How can hotelier use these two elements to deliver a more personalized experience, in your opinion?
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you. And I personally believe that the future of hospitality lies in capitalizing from the smart use of data that is accessible, clean, structured, and easy to use. And a guest journey is a lot about data, and a guest journey is also a lot about communication. So the way I see it is that the data will give you or provide you the insights on how to use your communication. But it's also good to remember that a guest journey is not a fixed thing. And that's why we are here, right? So with our customers, for example, our customer success team will always work hand in hand to try different things and then iterate. And that's why data is so precious, because it shows what works and what doesn't. So bottom line, use your guest data to deliver amazing experience. And that's what BookBoost is about.
Excellent. It's music to my ears. Actually, that's something I'm repeating day in and day out. And I'm actually launching a new framework of revenue management in the next few weeks, and it's all about this kind of experimental revenue optimization. And I believe that's where our edge as human is right now. It's all about experimenting, because AI, generative AI, and so on. Yes, you can automate the tactics, you can automate a lot of things, but all those kind of application, all those kind of experimentation with tech, with distribution, with strategies, that's human, that needs to be done. So I agree with what you mentioned, Anna, on your role of experimenting, and that should be our job as hotelier, to continue experimenting, keep learning, keep documenting your journey as well, and keep learning and see what is working. Because what you mentioned, something that has been working for a hotel next door may not be working for you, and reverse for another one. So you need to figure out exactly what is a sweet spot for yourself, and find it yourself, actually. But that's just with experimentation. Spot on. And anyone wants to jump on experimentation? Did you try some crazy experimentation yourself with a guest journey? Anyone? Christian,
not just
yeah, go ahead.
not just experimenting, and also meaning that the guest journey has to be alive, has to be flexible. We should be able to adapt to our customers' needs, and also to something that happens on a daily basis, whatever it might be, that you might need to alter. Whatever step on the process should be easily addressed, and that what Anna mentioned, that is not fixed 100%. We couldn't agree more. It has to be alive, flexible, and dynamic, and for that, we definitely need to implement gathering data. When we list all those touch points that we've spoken about before, every single one of those touch points and steps should include gathering data and something to implementing them.
Yeah, I think we have a question from Conrad. So thank you so much for being brave enough to ask a question. So how do you review the guest journey over time, and how do you decide what parts to drop and what to add? Anyone wants to jump in?
Reviewing constantly your guest journey. Don't do it once a year, or don't do it twice, 3 times, 4 times a year, whatever. Set up a meeting with certain departments and talk with them about your guest journey. On the one hand, talk with your marketing department. On the other hand, talk with your line staff about it. Talk with may with your housekeeping department over it and collect the wishes, and then starting to rethink if there could be an add to the guest journey or not. And on the other hand, always take a look at your current guest journey and think about how to replace certain things or drop some parts of it, or if there's any way to fit it in a smaller footprint, if I can say it like that. If your existing guest journey on the registration card, easy example, on the registration card are 3 or 4 pages, 3 or 4 steps, then rethink if there's an option to drop the 4th one and make it only 3 steps. As faster as a journey process or a digital process is for the guest, as easier they want to use, or it's easier that feels for the guests. Yeah.
Do you prefer, that's also an open question, and for me as well, so sorry, I'm actually very selfish here, but you prefer a guest journey with very few key touch points, like a 4, 5, 3, like essential key touch point, or like 25, 50 touch points with more granular basis? What is your opinion on this?
As minimum as possible.
Okay.
Create maximum on the minimal touch points, but don't overflow the guest with information or with interaction points. Easy example. Our digital guest journey has now 5 steps. In a year ago, it has 7 steps. And since the implementing of that new guest journey, we are constantly working on dropping 2 of the steps and only make it 5 initial points. Why we do it? Because some guests are responding and making "don't spam me." Because we're sending them messages because they don't start with the digital guest journey. And we also get the feeling that more of the guests starting journey or make the whole journey if it's in a smaller footprint overall. Yeah.
Okay. Anna, I see that you raise your hand.
Yeah, I would like to add, it's not necessarily about the number of touch points. It's about making it relevant, meaningful, and value adding. So rather than looking at how many you have, you can look at click-through rates to see, do the customers take action on it? What do they do with it? What works, what doesn't? And this is the opposite to bombard. It's not about one message fits all, but the more you can segment, the better you can personalize. And at the end, you create a unique, authentic guest journey that caters towards that specific guest, and they receive the message at the right time, right before they, for example, start to look into, to ask the questions themselves, they receive it. That's the best, the superior guest journey, rather than talking about how many messages. Make it relevant, make it value-adding, make it meaningful every time. If it's not, don't send it.
That's good. I like what you mentioned. So what if I need to summarize, size doesn't matter. It's more what you do with it that matter more. Yeah, that's what my wife say. But on this, Florian, do you have any case hotelier establish when they establish a guest journey that involve many people, multiple touch points, and still a lot of manual work that is not sustainable in time? And how do you believe they can optimize the guest journey strategy through automation? Actually, it's a long question.
Yeah, it's a long and loaded question. I mean, it really depends on the setup of the hotel and where they are in that journey, right? I think a lot of hotels need to start off and say, okay, most of my digital guest journey doesn't integrate to my PMS very well. That things like invoice numbers are not invoice names are not transferred from the guest journey into the PMS. I can't send out an automatic invoice, and I need to spend manual time to do these kind of processes. So I would say that's the beginning. And there you should really check out the depth of integration of your current systems, and can they actually support more, and how to maybe question your whole technology stack at that stage, and go through the whole process, and maybe listen to our webinar from the first minute again on how to do so. And then there's the second stage, is where maybe you have more complex processes. You have already a lot of good systems, but you need to now look at maybe to solve certain edge cases where you say, okay, I have optimized my 80% of the flows because they are in a certain process. And now I want to look at how can I maybe improve my phygital experience, which also Albert mentioned at the beginning, how to better then increase that experience for when the guest arrives and the physical person supports them. You could do an automation based on a guest's profile, how often they've come to your property, for example, and say, send out a WhatsApp to my general manager to come down to the reception and greet our very loyal guest here, or birthday guest. So going just an extra mile without necessarily or leveraging the current systems which you have, or building a custom automation between your PMS and third-party systems like WhatsApp via no-code and low-code solutions. Or you can really go further and look at, what is my biggest pain point on my staff side? Where do I have my issues? You have, let's say in Amsterdam, 2 city taxes where different OTAs are different ways of charging it, or you want to maybe create a certain payment automation. And there you can then really look at one specific pain point, which is maybe less on the staff side, but much less on the guest side, but much more on the staff side, and really look at, okay, what can I build as an automation via a partner or yourself via no code and low code? And how do I get my return on investment? Because sometimes it's 2 days of work or 3 days of work, but suddenly you benefit from it on a daily basis with a couple of hours saving the staff, or you can actually make sure that you can collect all of the money from your OTAs when you have special city taxes, etc. So there's a lot of possibilities to, once you're already at a great level, to then always go on a kind of sprint by sprint, always improve and improve and improve, and not just think about the guest, but also think about the staff behind the scenes.
I agree. And something which is important to mention is that sometimes we say, okay, that's an expensive tool to add to my tech stack. However, if you look at how much time is saved, and you pay your staff by hour for to do this kind of task, but if you look at how much time they spend on those tasks that you can automate with tools, then you get your ROI from day one. And
and
that's very important.
On that process, it's also looking, when you look at ROI, it's often looking not necessarily at day one of implementation, because of day one of implementation, you of course have your old processes already still, and it's not directly bringing the value. So you really also need to look ahead and say, okay, maybe it's going to be a bit more expensive or a bit more complicated for the next for the implementation phase. But once we have these processes in place, then we can actually restructure on certain ways and focus on adding more value for guests, because you don't spend the time of just implementing data from system A into system B. And this still happens in even the most tech advanced hotels companies. There's still significant amount of time spent with just data manipulation, which doesn't really add value to the company.
Definitely. And I would like to pick up on the question we received before the end of the call. We still have 4 minutes, so we'll make it happen. So I will jump to Martin. Thank you so much for asking the question. So to everyone who wants to jump in, what is the general feedback from guests while or after using your digital guest journey? There are still many old school people out there, yes, that prefer checking with a real person, yes. Do they feel picked up as well? Like, what is any feedback on this? Anyone? Albert, I see that you're smiling. Or
I'm smiling because of Martin. I think it's well known for everybody. On the first question, I think there is no just answer this general feedback from guests. Different guests have different feedback. Some love it, some others just pay much attention, and those are going to be the ones preferring a check-in in person instead of a check-in online. So we need to, as we said at the beginning, cater everything towards our audience, but not all of them are going to react the same way to the same guest journey. So I would say that there is no general feedback, but very different variety.
Yeah, leave them the choice. It's not about like one. It's not black or white. It's more about having the choice and the options for your guest. If someone, and even in luxury, people still want some self check-in automation. So it's not like one or another. It's just having the option and alternative in case and to cater for different feedback. Anna, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think it's meet your guests where your guests are, understand their needs. So this is not, as you mentioned, Thibault, black and white. Some will like it, some will not. But by understanding how you can interact, this could be a way forward. So Florian, you also mentioned we link together the physical landscape with the digital. And by doing that in a seamless, superior way, we can also cater towards a larger group of audience. And if you break that down by understanding their specific needs, you can also offer the right service to the right person. And by collecting and understanding and analyzing the reviews, the feedback, for example, you can iterate. So this is an ongoing process. It's not fixed, as I mentioned before. It's continuously changing because that's how the world looks today.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's spot on.
I agree, but I want to add one more thing. Maybe a think about to Martin about the question. Our first guest to complete the digital guest journey after switching to complete a new one was a 66-year-old guest. So it's not always the old school people that doesn't like to do a digital journey whenever, right? And don't fit it into pockets. If the person is older than 60 years, then they will do the digital journey. It depends on the guest itself, and then most of the older guests are more experienced with that, or are more happy to test it or try it out. If I'm in one of our properties, I'm typically sitting at the reception or next to the reception and look at all the guests coming in and checking in, and as older they are, as happier they are to arriving at the guest and have everything prepared and walk into the lobby with their phone and show us the phone and, hey, I've done everything. I'm here. I'm happy to check in. Right. So if you offer the journey to the guests, however, offer 2 options, offer 3 options. Welcome.
But Christian, did you just say that you're old when you're 60?
That's what he mentioned. I didn't want to mention it, but he did actually.
I say old school.
Yeah, and that's actually right, Martin. You're saying like 25 years old guests can actually be old school as well. So don't put some segmentation on this actually, because you have some very old people, whatever you consider old, that can be quite trendy and playing Warcraft online and so on, and some 25 years old which prefer like a tea and going to bed at 8 o'clock. So that's completely normal. Before we close the webinar, Florian, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to jump on that because I think this really goes back to where does the guest journey start? Because I feel like the guest journey starts in your initial marketing, your positioning, and where do you stand as a brand, your hotel, what guests do you cater to? Because in certain brands, you say no, there's not 5 options, there's just the digital options, or you say no, there's maybe 2 options, or maybe there's just a physical option. But it really goes back to who are you as a hotel or as a brand or a service department, etc. Who do you cater to, and communicating that already at the beginning, during their booking phase or even inspiration phase, that they know what to expect in your hotel. Of course, in OTAs, it can be more complicated. There, you try to do it via the images and show that. But I think it's very important that the guest receives what they expect. And that's the most important part of it. So communication is key.
I agree. And okay, let's put this one. Florian, maybe you're the one to answer this one. Is there any tool that actually compile, construct my any customer journey? That's a question that we have from Conrad.
If there's any tool to compile and construct my customer journey, I mean, there's definitely amazing tools out there which can cater to a lot of different elements from your customer journey. I think it is not just one tool which covers everything, but it's a compilation. Of course, with Book Boost as CRM guest journey, you have a lot of options. There are also quite other solutions out there, but it's mapping out your journey, questioning yourself. What is also my most important parts when I'm contemplating, when I'm putting this together? Because maybe some people focus more on different guest communication via certain WhatsApp channels, etc. Maybe others look at other focus areas. So it's there's multiple tools out there. You can just check out the Apelio store and you'll find quite a few of them around there.
There we go. But thank you so much, guys, for our conversation. Really enjoy the conversation, and thank you so much for people who stayed with us until the end. And thank you as well for the question. But yeah, really enjoy this one. I hope you find it useful, and don't hesitate, even if you rewatch it, or if that will be online after this webinar, so people will be able to rewatch it. If you can share it as well with anyone in your network, and if you have any question, don't hesitate to reach out to us individually on LinkedIn and so on. You know where to find us, but we'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. All right, thank you, guys. I wish you a very nice day.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thank you.